As you like.
All right, guys. So, welcome everyone. Maybe by show of hands, who has seen a humanoid robot walk before in real life? Apart from yesterday.
I did my job.
All right. No one? Okay. One, two. Okay, a couple hand, but way less. Okay. So, as you can see, this is super special that Emily came here and brought Tova, which is our humanoid robot. It for many of you guys, it's the very first confrontation actually with one of those humanoid robots. And as you know, for the Tesla community, it's super important to talk about humanoid robots, talk about Optimus, talk about the future. So maybe I'll let Emily introduce herself. She's super awesome, and how we will structure this talk is later I will give my mic into the audience so you guys can ask all the questions that you have, and she will answer them. So maybe, Emily, now is your time to brag about who you are.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Emily. Thank you so much. Daniel is the one who brought me here, so thank you so much to Daniel and the Tesla Club Austria. This is such a pleasure. So I am a domestic robotics researcher. And we had somebody say, "Oh, Unitree is in the house." I will say that I'm not an engineer. I don't work for Unitree. My interest and my main passion in this particular research project is that I want to ready the European market to safely adopt humanoids. That's the whole goal. And in order to do that, there are sort of three different areas that I look at. I look at the intersection between humanoid robotics and legal regulation, institutional policy, and tangible and intangible infrastructure. And I go through my entire life. I walk my dog every morning with it. It lives in my house with me. It goes to work with me. It goes on transport with me. And I find all the problems and all the headaches. And then I go through every single which way that we could try to be solution oriented so that we can actually come and bring these fantastic marvels of engineering into our world so that we can see the real benefits of it. So that is me and what I do. And I'm very open, like I said, because I'm a researcher, I can give very honest answers. I live this every single day, and it's my pleasure to answer all of the wacky, weird, and wonderful questions that come my way, because part of what sort of this science communication is listening and figuring out what's important to everybody else so that I can understand sort of what to consider when we're looking at being solution oriented and being able to bring these robots into our world.
Perfect. Thank you so much for this amazing introduction. Maybe clap it up for Emily.
Thank you.
Awesome. So, as I said before, we wanted to make this talk a little different. We wanted to, attempt to normalize, being around a humanoid robot. So imagine this to be kind of like a big living room. Ask any questions. No question is I don't know, just don't be shy. Ask anything you want.
Don't be shy.
You have definitely the right person here to answer. And with that being said, raise your hands. I'll give now my mic to some of you who want to raise some questions. Okay, so they're in the back. I'll give you the mic.
Yay.
Hey, it's me again.
Hi, you again.
I was thinking about the role you mentioned that you're looking forward to implementing this into society. And my question, I guess, is more on the work side, since it will be a robot handling everyday tasks. You could say it's a worker. And my question is, how will this be implemented as a workforce object because it's doing something that maybe a human did? Are you considering, is there going to be something like the owners of the robot paying a certain company for the hours that the robot will have worked? Or do you think this will be a one-time fee that somebody acquires for, I don't know how many thousands of dollars or euros?
Of course. So thank you. What a fantastic kickoff question, because it has so many different topics wrapped up in it. So I appreciate that. So for the particular model that is in existence right now, Again, this is an early research prototype, and since I am a researcher, I'm a doctoral candidate at University of Vienna, so I live right here in Austria. I'm very, very proud to. The current model that is most pervasive with this particular unit is that you have a one-time payment fee. You pay for the robot, you pay taxes and import fees and things like that on the robot, and then it is yours to use. Of course, there are costs associated when it comes to maintenance or charging. So I actually brought along, I know we have some people very interested in batteries in the audience, so I brought around one of my extra batteries, and you're more than welcome to feel how heavy it is. If you like, you can pass it around. Please don't drop it, but you're welcome to touch and feel. So I think that it's so interesting because we really have, one of the things that you mentioned is the idea of labor. And as somebody who physically appears in public every single day with a sort of physical embodiment of AI, I get a lot of the projection of people's concerns. And they're super valid. I never discount any of these concerns. I always just say that technology itself is neutral. And how we wind up actually implementing it is a series of choices that we make. And we make those choices on a personal level, on a community or family or household level, and then on a state and federal and regional level as well. And so part of what I like to talk about is the idea of having it be sort of a redefinition and restructuring of the workforce. And there are a lot of different pathways that I think a lot of people have proposed. Everyone from Sam Altman to economists themselves have looked into what this might look like. And that might look like restructuring our taxes. That might look like trying to reach something that resembles a universal income. That could look in a number of different ways. But very interestingly, something that you mentioned was about household labor. And I appreciate that as a woman as well, that you made that comment, because part of what is so fantastic about the promise of humanoids is its ability to live in a house with us and to alleviate a lot of the labor. There's labor every single day to make. We're all wearing clean clothes. We all have a bed that's made, clean laundry, hopefully a clean kitchen, maybe some clean floors. And that takes time. And it takes time that maybe you would rather spend with a beautiful dog walking in the park or with your friends and family out having a beer or something like that. So I think that it's very interesting because we have many different areas where we could apply this to alleviate labor. And I think each one is going to have its own particular cost-benefit analysis. So I think for me, I'm most excited that it might one day do my laundry. It does not. It does not yet do my laundry. But the idea of a labor robot at home is really wonderful for that. And I will make the distinction, and this might come up later in another way, that this is not a social robot or a companion robot. And it is not for a couple of different reasons, one of which is that it is GDPR compliant. So it stores no data because we cannot guarantee that the data does not leave the European Union. It does not have any biometric scanners. Basically, it is unable to get to know me. And on a physical hardware level, I don't know if it was here, but at one of my last appearances, somebody said they were taking a picture of it and their child, and they said, "Can you have it smile?" And I said, "With what?" It doesn't have a face. I can't have it smile. So for a few reasons, I think we'll see either more development in terms of bringing together companion and labor robots, especially in the home, because in an industrial application, you wouldn't need that. Or we'll see them sort of separate and become their own distinct entities. But that was a beautifully textured question. Thank you. I hope I answered at least some of it. Thank you.
Just pass the mic around.
I think we have somebody in a Philly. Is it a Phillies cap? Tesla cap.
So, question. So, irrespective of the weaponization of autonomous drones and robotics, are you confident that even hominid robotics for home use can be restrained by guardrails like Asimov's first law of robotics?
Okay. I think that is also a very good question. Thank you. I think in general, right now, I spoke a little bit about skepticism and people having skepticism, and I will level with you and say that I share in some of your skepticism. And for that matter, as I mentioned, I am a researcher, and I live with this robot. And this robot in particular has 3 modes of operation. And this is just something that speaks to the idea of the guardrails. So the three modes of operation are remote mode of operation, and that is basically holding this remote and doing a number of pre-programmed gestures and being able to have it walk and move around a bit. And this is something that I can very easily control. And I know that no matter what, it's going to only do what I want it to do. Now, I will tell you a story, as we're sort of just speaking very frankly in this living room style, about the day that this robot was dropped off with me. And essentially what the engineer said was he placed it in my living room, just as we're sitting now. And he said, you know what, can you just be aware of the danger zone? And I saw some eyebrows go up, which is exactly what happened with me. And I said, I'm sorry, what's the danger zone? Like, this is absolutely terrifying because this thing lives with me. What are you talking about? And he said, no, the danger zone is because when it's being teleoperated, and if you've ever seen a robot be teleoperated, you know that it can have some jagged movements. There was somebody who was teleoperating it and went like this, right as a woman was trying to get a selfie. And there was physical touch at that moment, and the woman's nose broke. And I know. And so I think that that to me, the secondary mode, let's say the teleoperative mode, based on that one story, that was more than enough to make sure that I did not want to operate in teleoperative mode. And then in addition, this model also has the ability to operate autonomously. I have had this for now a year and a half, close to 2 years of this project, and I've never once entered that mode. So I do share in the skepticism about the personal safety in terms of property damage, in terms of personal injury, and I personally choose to only operate in a mode that I know that I have control over. So I would say that your skepticism is incredibly healthy, and I share in it, and I'm really hoping that we make sure that we have the type of guardrails in place. I will also say that they have added in a very effective kill switch, which came in an update I was unaware of, and I actually activated it during a talk by accident, and it sort of did a funny little death drop. And so there are definitely ways to ensure that you have the final control at any given time, but I choose to err on the side of caution.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a great question.
Hi, Rachel. I have a related question. I think we covered about personal incident. How about your privacy? Because you're living with the robot like every day. And I think there was some recent incident about DJI robot cleaner like accidentally being able to hack through videos of homes. Do you have any concerns about that, or do you have any measures that handle that?
Okay, I have again, surprise, I have a long answer to this one too. It's 3 points. So the first point is what I would say is that this particular robot is GDPR compliant. So technically speaking, it's not recording any data, but I understand that sort of that there can also be, so I don't personally feel that way. However, I will say that there is also a very interesting perception component that when you are inside the house and when, let's say, I have friends over or family over, some of them may relate to me that they feel watched in some way. And I find it very interesting because I actually wrote a piece for the Center for Privacy Studies at the Danish National Research Foundation on data convergence. And this idea of data convergence, because as you said, it could be a robot vacuum cleaner, it could be our phones, it could be anything that could really have the same effect. But I think that when you're confronted with something that has a humanoid form, that there is something that's much more confronting about it. It makes you contemplate this a lot deeper, and it gives you this sort of feeling of being watched for a lot of people. I would say because I had to labor so hard and give up so much for the GDPR compliance, I personally am not afflicted by this feeling, but I know a number of my close personal friends are. But I would say that when we think about the fears that we have surrounding robotics, it was yesterday I was speaking with a family who also had issues with their Tesla and getting their Tesla approved to be within their particular housing unit or cul-de-sac. And they were describing that it was just because it was a Tesla. there was this tension. And I think that this exists with humanoid robotics, that there are certain things that there are fears and concerns and everything, and they may be completely valid, and a lot of times they are, but they're also present in areas where we're not as concerned with our robot vacuums or, you know, our cell phones or things like that. So I think that part of what, like Daniel said, is my mission and is our mission, is that we want people to ask these questions, to get comfortable, to start thinking more thoroughly and through this more, and becoming more comfortable with the idea. Because I also think one of the things that has struck me this weekend, and thank you so much for having me in your beautiful community this weekend, is how idealistic everybody is, how enthusiastic people are here about innovation. And I think it's because you are among the people who see the true benefit. You see all of the benefits of innovation. And I think what's difficult when it comes to AI, whether that's software AI or physical AI, is that sometimes people are filled with all of the different fear and skepticism before they can hold something tangible or intangible that truly offers them a benefit in life, that makes their life better, immeasurably better in whatever way. And that could be mobility, or that could be ease and comfort or companionship, or whatever it might be. And so it's my hope that we can have these conversations and that they can be sparked by the meeting of the robot, that you can feel empowered to have discussions with family and friends and think these things through, because it's up to you. If you feel that it would be somewhat too confronting, then it's something maybe that you want to hold off on, or you want to understand more about how the data is processed. But this idea of data and privacy is a very hot topic when it comes to in-home anything. And I don't know how many people here have smart home, anything smart home, but I have, my whole house is kitted out with smart home. And so for me, it's more about the data convergence than it is about introducing any new streams of data that I feel, you know, I shouldn't be giving. I already have a pet camera, and I already have, you know, all the Ring door light and all of these different things. So it's something that I think everybody needs to have their personal idea about what is comfortable for them.
All right, before we hand the mic to the next person, I actually have one question. So who here in the room is kind of, I mean, we have a lot of Europeans, a lot of people from the US and Asia, but who here is annoyed that we don't have FSD yet here? Maybe raise your hand. Oh, all right. A lot of hands. Okay, except the Dutch. Ignore the Dutch for now. Okay, so Emily, so you've spoken a lot about regulation, and you're one of the few people who are actually right now really heavily involved in pushing robots in terms of regulation, so that all these lovely people who love innovation can see robots earlier. So how do you think that's going to play out? I mean, we're still waiting for full self-driving. How do you think it's going to play out with robots?
It's a race now, because I'm trying very hard, guys. So I think that, yes, so I have a number of different projects that I'm working on to try to ready the market. And to ready the market, it's not only about the hearts of people, it's not only about how, you know, it fits into homes, but it's about the legal policy that absolutely makes something that inside of a laboratory environment could be the absolute pinnacle of success, the absolute pinnacle of engineering. And then when it gets to your home, every step along the way where you've had to be compliant with the current law, it truncates one ability or another. So in order to be GDPR compliant, it doesn't know who the heck I am. It has no idea who I am. In order to be, let's say, machinery compliant, maybe it can't lift a certain amount of kilos or something like this. So there's always going to be a trade-off. And I think in part, that's because, you know, we're still very early in adoption. We're still very early in development. But my whole goal is that we can parallel path design and innovation with legal regulation, so that by the time something is ready for the consumer can actually benefit from it to the fullest extent possible. So the way in which I sort of see this is that first of all, my main passion, is liability and insurance, which is maybe not most people's passion, but it's mine. So I actually founded a company. I founded an insurtech company. And this company aims to basically target the exact issue, which is right now we have the product liability directive, we have sort of a single fault liability. And this just absolutely does not hold up with equipment like this, or other equipment that we see, especially with modular robotics, especially if we're talking about hardware from one place and software from another. If we're talking about maintenance teams being able to come in and do maintenance, we're talking about 5 different telecom companies that are going to provide 5G. This is going to fall apart very, very quickly. And because of that, a lot of the insurers do not want to insure autonomous robotics. And as I explained, that's one of the main reasons I don't even use it in certain modes, is because I'm liable and I don't necessarily trust it. I share in the healthy skepticism of our friend. Thank you so much. Yeah, hello. And so I sort of developed this sort of suite of different algorithms that uses the sensor data and all of the maintenance logs and all of the manufacturing data to actually be able to assign proportional stake liability, to be able to say, you know what, yes, one of these actuators actually, it was not created properly in the manufacturing plant in China, and then your 5G, the 5G slice went out, and so you had a wobble, and then it didn't calculate something, and then someone in the street stepped in front of it, and then it fell back and it broke someone's arm. That's not all my fault, and it's also not all Unitree's fault. There's so many different aspects that we need in order to prepare the market to be able to insure these, to be able to enter them into the most impactful places like homes, healthcare environments. In order to allow them to really help us, they need to be in these highly regulated spaces, and we need to be able to trust them. And we need to be able to assign liability. So part of that is also the idea that this is mine, this is mine, you all know this is mine, but how are you going to prove, how do you prove any of that? None, because we have no identity frameworks, right? So China recently came out with identity frameworks for robotics, and I'm proud to say that even before that news broke, I was already working and lobbying in Brussels to try to get that over here. So there's a number of different ways that we can do that, one of which is to expand the eIDAS 2.0 digital identity framework to have a root and sub-identity. This could also be applicable to agentic AI for agents to participate in agentic commerce and be integrated into our banking systems. So there's quite a number of different elements. And then when you think about the idea of trying to ensure that we have identity frameworks, we go back to our friend, Rachel, was it? Rachel, who was asking about vacuums. Okay, so why do I not need to register my vacuum, right? So we get into this idea of what exactly do we classify as needing an identity framework and why? And this is part of why I love the autonomous vehicle space, because you've already established standards. You've already established international standards for autonomy. And although I was discussing some of them outside with FSD and this idea of 2 plus all of this, which is very fascinating to me in practice, once again. And so there's so many different standardizations, legal regulations, policies that need to be updated. And in my opinion, they should be updated now, before we have them walking around in the street and before we have ones in our homes, which we cannot fully explore the benefits of, but are still experiencing the risk of. So it is, I won't lie, it's a long road, but it is clear what we should do. And we owe a lot of that to the pioneers of autonomous vehicles, because they figured out a lot of these steps that we will have to follow in the footsteps of for autonomous robotics to be able to enter into the European market. So there's a lot to be done. Get involved with me, because I always say, I will just preface this by saying, I work with a think tank in Brussels, and we lobby the EU Commission, and we develop all of these different programs, and I go and speak at authorization conferences and banking conferences and insurance conferences to try to move along the needle in pursuit of readying this market. But also, these decisions will also be made at your children's universities. It will be made in their schools. It will be made in your homes. Every level is going to have their own idea of what their policy should be. And I aim to ensure that people feel empowered to use their voice and to explain what it is that they want to see in their communities. Because whether or not you decide to put one in your home it's none of my business. I said I don't sell them. I'm just passionate about making sure you can get the benefit if you want it. But you will be impacted. Whether or not you personally have one, you will be impacted. And so for that, I hope to empower people to be able to raise their voice and explain what they want and what they're comfortable with. I don't know where the mic went. The mic is over there. Who has another question? Up. We have a few.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
I understand that it doesn't wash your or clean your clothes or wash your house or
It
whatever. But actually, I'm still wondering: was there any like light bulb moment where you felt anything like useful or something you didn't think of before? Like, wow, this is amazing, or even the presence of it, or something that was new to you since you lived with it for so long.
Thank you for your question. I would say, yes, I've had light bulb moments, but they have not been due to the engineering or technology or usefulness around my house. It's mostly been because it is the perfect canvas of projection. It makes people talk, it makes people share their fears and their hopes and their attitudes towards the future. And I find it to be the most fantastic sort of social firework to get to know people and to hear what people have to say. And anybody who's been outside today or yesterday and been sort of in the little sort of huddles that we've had and listened to some of the conversations, it sort of is this beautiful blank canvas where it's representative of the future. And that's part of what I was saying was so beautiful about this group, is that there's such an emphasis on the positive aspects, on the benefits that we can have from it, on the ways that it can enrich our lives, it can free up our days, it can make us more available for family and friends, it can help us in healthcare, mobility, all of these different aspects. So I would say that for me, the most aha moment have been the person-to-person moments that I've experienced with this as sort of the conversational spark, because I think people tend to catch themselves when they're talking about something. And I find that, yes, of course, there's also, and especially maybe for our visitors from the US, there's a lot of political charge as well these days. When we're talking about elements of artificial intelligence, there is a lot of political charge. And I find that the practicality and the tangible confrontation of standing in front of one of these, it cuts through that. And it cuts right to the heart of people. And people are able to speak more frankly, more openly, and more honestly about what they feel about the future, what they're afraid of, what they're happy with and not happy with. And it's all grist for the mill. It's wonderful to hear about. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know we had the gentleman in the green shirt had his hand up earlier, but we can also pass back. So
Yes.
hi.
Which is the name of this robot?
The name that I've given the robot, or the official name, or both?
I don't know the name.
Okay, loaded question, I guess. So I have named this robot Tova.
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 Okay.
And the official name is a Unitree G1 EDU2 with a force finger dexterous force
Too
control
difficult.
hand.
It's too difficult.
Tova.
But anyway, you spoke about philosophy, GDPR, etc., a lot of things. Very interesting and very important. But anyway, since you started to use this robot, what changed in your day-by-day life? I mean, only very in practical things. I mean, did this robot change your life in any way? Preparing food, or speaking to him or to her? I don't know. Which is the gender?
Great question. It's an it. It's not a he or a she. It's an it. Thank you. That's a perfect question.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
How changed your life in the last?
Okay, great question. To make sure that I clarify, it has not made my life easier in any way by doing any type of chores. So the whole idea of my philosophy of saying that I want to parallel path the engineering and design with the legal regulation to ready the market is that I got an early research prototype that can't do anything. It cannot help me with those things. I wish, of course, that it did my laundry and it cooked for me. It does not do any of those things, because my philosophy is, if we look back in history and we look at the times when the market sort of absorbed and accepted something that was incredibly valuable but was not regulated properly, we had a lot of dark growing pains, right? Even with, if you think about all of the reasons why we have all the regulations surrounding automobiles, why we have seatbelt laws. Think about that. Why we have traffic lights, why we have registration, why we have maintenance checks. And so I purposely went into this with a robot that does not help make my life easier, but I want to help make other people's lives easier by living with it the hard way, and figuring out where it intersects with our laws, with our policies, and with our infrastructure, so that we can get ahead of changing that first. So it does not make my life any easier because it does not perform any household labor inside my house.
In the future, perhaps.
In the future, in the future, of course. And that's what I think the moment we're preparing for. I just happen to be very passionate about the legal infrastructure surrounding it. And I think that there are so many people who are working on those skills and they're fantastic. I want their work to sing. I want it to reach you immediately. I want it to be adopted into the market, to reach customer homes and lives and make people's lives better. That's why we're here.
And where is from this robot?
This robot is from Unitree. So it was manufactured in a lab in China, but it was specifically configured for deployment in the EU. So it's GDPR compliant, EU AI Act compliant, but it was made in China.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
How you can train it so to make it smarter or to make some task like making the laundry? So do you do something in this direction?
There are a lot of people in this room that I know can answer that question, and I can't because that is so not my... Raise your hand if you can answer that question about programming a robot in some way, shape, or form. If someone's a programmer, an engineer.
So I'm a programmer.
Oh, then, buddy, give the mic to someone else.
That's why I'm interested in, first of all, how you get your hands on it. So you can buy it every...
So I got this is an early research prototype, and I am an American who lives here. I'm here for my doctorate, and I am a resident researcher. So because I'm a resident researcher, I was able to get an early research prototype. So I contacted the company years ago, and I requested to buy one early and to live with it and to experience every headache, every mess, every problem, so that I, as a researcher, could then get out ahead of solving those. Because by the time they really are useful, which again, they're not yet, and any of them are useful. It's not about this robot, right?
It was the same with LLMs. They was almost
Absolutely,
useful,
absolutely.
But then you train it at some point, and they were useful.
Yes, but the people who
think
are
the
training
same-
it, they're working on something totally different in a different space, and I'm trying to run as fast as I can to make sure that the law and the policy and the market that it comes into is ready for it. Sorry if that was unsatisfying, but I am simply
green
not an
t-shirt?
engineer. A social engineer, that's it. Not a computer engineer.
Yes, I see that you are a researcher, basically.
I am.
So why GDPR has to do with research? Because normally when you do research, there's no regulation.
Say that again?
When you're doing your own research,
Yes.
why should GDPR should be in the domain of research? Because
So essentially,
GDPR is for public domain. It's not the case here.
yes, however, I bring it into the public and I have it interact with children. I have it interact with people who have not signed any type of releases. I have it interact with lots and lots of people every single day. That's a huge part of what I do. And because of that, if it were in its original mode, if it were able to store all of its data, send it back to China and everything, that's not very fair on all of the people that I expose it to, right?
Okay. But could you switch it off and use it for yourself in terms of GDPR?
I wish that that was the way in which it was configured. And I have actually a few different sort of fantasies of how that might go. However, that's just not where the software is at this moment in terms of what's available to me as a user. Because again, I'm not a developer, I am an end user. And so I think it would be amazing if these were sort of geo-fenced features where like inside my home, it had full range. And then when I bring it outside every day, it somehow, does not gather the data or anything like that. But that's just simply not where we're at, unfortunately.
Have you tried to get from Tesla an Optimus prototype?
Can someone in this room get me an Optimus? If there was ever a room where someone could, I would be thrilled over the moon. Okay, well, when it disappears tonight, you'll know who has it. I mean, that would be amazing because, like I said, the goal of this research has nothing to do with this particular unit. The goal of the research is all about how we can prepare society and our market and ourselves. So whether it's this one, whether it's another one, whether it's the Optimus, it's for the field. and it's for us. Thank you, though. I would love that. And yes, great idea. If anybody knows anyone, let me know.
Hello, in the same field, that was my question. You own a Chinese robot,
I do.
and do you have any idea about the development level achieved by the Chinese technology compared with the Tesla American technology at the moment, nowadays?
I mean, I don't have any special knowledge that anybody else doesn't have. And I will say probably everyone in this room probably knows more about the development of the Optimus than I do at this point. I only know what I deal with experientially every day. I do pay very close attention to the development of the legal frameworks in China. So every single day, there are 14 different agencies in China that I check basically like their daily logs and what they're working on. And that's part of why I know that they do have frameworks for identity for both humanoids and agentics, which are completely different. They're taking a very different approach because they have a very different existing landscape to build into. So I would say that I think we're in a great position, at least here in Europe, because we already have quite a lot of digital infrastructure when it comes to identity frameworks for ourselves and our businesses. And those are not necessarily existing in the same fashion to build on in China. So they have started from scratch. And right now they have about 16 million downloads of their app for that. And it sounds like a lot, but think about how big China is. So I'll be smug on that one and say it's not catching on as quickly as I think they wanted it to. And so I do think that there's definitely competition, and I think the competition is healthy. It means that we can look to each other for inspiration. We can look to each other for competitive inspiration. And I'm interested to see what they do, but I would love to see a homegrown and integrated into our current infrastructure style of identity frameworks here in Europe specifically.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Could you maybe walk us through how you would implement this robot in your day-to-day life, especially how it would interact with, I don't know, kids, strangers?
Absolutely.
Do you take it on the subway? Like, what is it exactly that it does? How
You
does it
hit on
perform?
you hit on my favorite question. Okay. So on a day-to-day basis, I have seats kind of like this seat in my apartment. It's a sits group. It's very cute. It's antique. And it sits on this lovely antique chair and it is off. And I see the battery has sort of stalled over there, but the battery is only a 2-hour battery, right? So I have two 2-hour batteries and I battery cycle because they only take around 30 minutes to charge. They plug right into the wall and it's very easy to charge them. So it's not that the robot is always on, right? I have to conscientiously charge the battery packs myself. I have to do a battery change, turn the robot on, and navigate it. So I won't say that it's walking around my apartment or anything like that, but it is seated in my apartment every morning. And whoever was here yesterday definitely saw that I have a beautiful little fluffy dog. And so I have a specialty dog leash that goes around the trunk of the robot and connects to my dog's little collar. And I walk my dog with it in the square every morning. And this, to me, has been one of the most simple and enriching areas of research because I get to see how people not only react and respond the first time, but as they get to know it, as they get to see it. And I find that there's all the beautiful, cute little neighborhood grannies that go up to it and they rub on its head and they say, "Oh, hi, Tova. Guten Tag, Tova." It's very sweet. And then I live near a school. And the school kids run up and they give it a hug and they give it a kiss on the belly. And I think this is the sweetest thing. So I get to really see sort of how the public interacts with it. You mentioned the bus and the tram and things like this. So this is I'm engaged in an absolute battle royale with Wiener Linien, which is, I live in Vienna, so the local transit company, because my goal is to get an annual transit card for this robot. And I have tried on multiple occasions and been unceremoniously denied, laughed out, told, get lost, hit the brakes. And for that reason, because I am a responsible researcher, it's never been on a bus or a tram. ever. It travels in a giant sort of travel case in the back of vans or like large SUVs and things like this. But it is definitely a goal of mine to sort of work that out. But it does walk through the neighborhood. And in these types of walks, whether I live very close to University of Vienna, where I work and where I do my doctorate. So when we're walking through the neighborhood, one of these sort of unseen aspects that is uncovered is that it walks at 2 meters per second at its sort of fastest rate. And you see, it's small. It's much. I was very surprised by how big the Optimus is. The Optimus will not have this issue, but this with the little legs, it's like me with little legs. It cannot get across the crosswalks in Vienna in time. And this is something that why would you think about this? Yes, curb cuts and things like this, ramps, accessibility features, but even just crossing the street in time. And that's a huge public safety hazard, right? If it can't cross the street in time before a tram comes or a car comes, or if it's going to be sort of in a run mode that's much more unstable, you're going to have a lot of issues. So really, it comes with me every place that it can where I have gotten permission. I always call ahead, speak to whoever the representative of the institution. We've been denied entry not only from sort of the public transit system, but particular museums who say that the lithium battery presents a fire safety hazard based on the way in which their sprinklers would work because there's art in the art museum. So there's all different types of sort of tangible confrontation where it's very hard to call up the curator of the Belvedere Museum in Vienna and say, hey, would you play a little game with me of hypotheticals? But if you actually say, hey, we were going to come on Tuesday, do you have any questions about the hardware or the software? Like, is there anything we can tell you about? You can really get the conversations going institutionally, and they can develop their policies in a way that's not, you're not throwing anything into chaos. You're not playing hypotheticals. You're just offering them a situation that's very tangible, that's happening. You're calmly introducing it, you're answering questions, and they're able to have those discussions internally and get back to you and say, actually, yes, we'd love for you to come and visit this particular, so we will go to a different area of the museum, or we will go to across the street to the offices, or we will do something else. So that is sort of the meat and potatoes of the project, is just bringing it with me as many places as I can and getting as much sort of public surface as I can to hear what people's issues are and to try my best to answer their questions, to try my best to make myself available and open to any types of concerns. And people have big concerns and big positive and negative feelings about it. And, it's to me, it's all the same. It's not, I don't take anything with it personally. I think that we're in totally, we're just in a completely new age, and we have to navigate how we do that together. So I just include it with me everywhere.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hi. So you basically answered all the technical questions I had, except how heavy is this robot?
Okay, do you want to answer? You lift it.
Heavy as fuck.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's like what, 50 kilograms? Yeah, so it's really heavy. So
That's what we guessed.
Yeah, exactly.
And other question, do you have to do software updates kind of every week, or how does it work?
Okay, they push them randomly, and it's a disaster every time. So they push them randomly to my phone, and I always get a little notification. And every time I get a notification, my heart sinks because I'm like, what now? Please don't stop doing this. And we've had quite a few very tricky. I told you one of the software updates was that they added a kill switch to the home screen, right where your thumb is. And I thought, wow, what great planning. Thank you, guys. And it didn't even say kill switch. It said stop. And the thing is, on the home screen, there's an ability, because it doesn't take any video or photos automatically, you can actually ask it to like take a photo or a video, and it stores it locally on my device. And since I had seen this notification, you got a software update, I was at a speech in Germany. Hello, Germans. I was at a speech in Germany, and it was right next to the camera icon. And I thought, oh no, what if when they updated it, they made it so that it's actually recording? So I hit stop, and it just crumbled into a hunk of metal on the floor. And this was horrifying because everyone was looking at me, and I was like, oh, And I tried to play it off, but there was no playing it off. It just kill switched. So yes, there are often updates. I am not in control of what they are. They come pushed to me and my phone, and sometimes they log me out of the app, and then I have to log in again, and then it tells me my password is wrong. It's all the same things that you would have with like a janky webmail. It's just that it's also this giant human in your house. So it's a real trip. But yes, they do push them, but I don't have control over how they operate.
All right, guys, thank you so much for your amazing questions. I'm pretty sure there are many more questions, and Emily's not leaving anytime soon. You
I'm
can
here
ask her
all day.
more stuff. She'll be, after this talk, outside with the robot, at least for a little while.
Totally.
But if you have more specific questions, maybe tomorrow or the day after you think about a question, how can people reach you, Emily?
Thank you for that. People can reach me on LinkedIn. You can reach me on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn Domestic AI. My name is Emily Genatowski, or you can look up Emily Vienna Robot Girl and find my website. I'm sure that'll be enough for you. But yeah, please do reach me. And if you know that you have questions, just come find me, and I'll set you up with my email or something like that. We can do it that way.
Perfect. And to finish it off, since we're here at the Tesla Takeover, let's focus a bit on Tesla, right? So, Emily, what have you learned from this community? You've talked to so many amazing people, and I'm pretty sure you've had so many amazing interactions. And all these interactions will follow you to Brussels or wherever you'll go to your next, important interaction. So, what have you learned from these amazing people that are sitting here in front of you?
The positivity and the community. I am balled over. I do a lot of, speaking engagements. I sort of drop into different communities, and this is such a special community of people who actually care about innovation, who actually care about the benefit that innovation can bring to people's lives, because you experience it every day. You live in it, you drive in it, you work with it. And it is the most inspiring group of people, because you come at everything with an open heart, with positivity, and with serious questions, but hopeful, hopeful responses. And I can't thank you enough. It's been super inspiring to see people that are here in Europe or in the States who are working towards solving problems of the future and bringing a more positive, a better and easier, and a more connected future to us. So I have been duly inspired, and I shall take it with me. And thank you so much for having me, because you were the one who had me. So thank you so much for bringing me here today. It's been amazing.
Clap it up. All right. Well, that was amazing. Emily, thank you so much. To me personally, you're such an inspiration. Ever since I've gotten to know you at the beginning of this year, I wrote my master thesis on humanoid robots, and I interviewed her in that process, and she immediately just said yes. So she's a super approachable person, even though she's hyper busy. And how many countries were you in the past 10 days?
8.
8 countries, right? So she is one of the busiest people that I know. But still, she finds time for even students like me who just write their master thesis. So thank you so much for being an inspiration.
You're the best. Thank you so much. Thank you.